Dr. Jeff King. It's time for the King Clinic. Always very interesting. He always gives us a one-word topic, and today it's genes, and we're not talking about blue jeans.
That's right. We're talking about DNA. It's the master chemical that is the genetic code that we are the outcome of the blueprint that was set together in motion when Mom and Dad came together.
Okay.
So this master protein called DNA. Now, it was long-standing that researchers and the scientific community thought, okay, well, Mom and Dad come together with their parts, make you, that's it. What you get's what you get, and that's the roll of the shuffle, and you get what you get. Well, kind of perusing through the research, as you know, I like to bring a little bit of research in because a footnote gives a fool a place to stand.
Oh, I like that.
So, I stole that too.
You researched that one too.
Yeah, I found that one too. So it's kind of fascinating. This guy named Robert Nero, he's a PhD biochemist extraordinaire guy, and he's the chief of cancer prevention research at the Preventive Medicine Institute of New York City. And he was taking a look at things like immunity and people's expression of their DNA, meaning how susceptible were they to chronic diseases. Rheumatoid arthritis, for example, cancer, another big one, seems to run in family lines. So it's long been thought, well, this runs in your family, it must be in your genes. What else has passed through in your family? It must be your genes, right? Just like developmental problems, mental retardation, stuff like that. So he started looking at all kinds of research, and he stumbled upon some weird research about a bunch of chiropractors adjusting patients, and they'd say purportedly, oh, well, our patients never get sick anymore. And he thought, that's preposterous. So he launched a study in 1975 that is still continuing today, where he's looking at long-term people that have seen chiropractors. Long-term meaning over 5 years, for checkups and stuff. You know, not necessarily hugely symptomatic people. And he found that when he was looking for very specific little enzymes and components of the immune system, he found that there was a 200% increase in those people circulating in their blood.
Wow.
So they get sick less.
Pretty significant.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And it occurred 100% of the time.
Wow. Even stronger proof.
Huh.
Yeah. So this Dr. Perot was really intrigued. So he continued lots of different tests, involved more people. And I don't know, many people don't know much about how research is done in this country. But how it's done here is called publish or perish. And that means you have to be funded by somebody who wants you to study something to prove a certain outcome. And then they'll pay you for it. You see?
If it's the outcome they want to see.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, but that's a fact. Okay. That's how American research is done. But him, being independently wealthy and having lots of other universities behind him, like the University of Sweden, he was also a professor of environmental health at New York University. He's got a lot of backers, a lot of credibility. So basically, whatever he'll do, people will back. All right. So he decided to look at DNA. Okay, well, if chronic diseases live in your genes, we'll say. And what about these people that we've seen show a 200% increase in immunity? What are their kids like? Do they have all kinds of the childhood diseases? Do they have lots of weird genetic anomalies, the same incidents that other people do? And the answer was no.
Wow.
And that really shook him up. All right. Then he really started looking at that. Now, it's very difficult to take a human being and take them all apart and take a look at their DNA and all that stuff. But he found that, in fact, that immunity and genetics are linked somehow.
So you sort of can break the chain.
Yeah, it was fascinating. That's what really shook me up when I looked at it. Excuse me, I thought, how could this be so? And it's just simply taking care of your body, becoming healthy, utilizing whatever's available. He looked at chiropractic. Americans also, which is interesting to note, because out of 200 countries looked at by the World Health Organization, we're ranked among the lowest in terms of health. I mean, we're sick, even though we're rich.
We don't do it. We don't get better until we're sick.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
until we have some kind of diagnosis, and then we get into a healthy lifestyle.
Fairly sick group of people. Now Japan's number one. Italy's number two.
That's very true. We have, I've been telling Karen, we have some kids working with us this summer from Turkey and Bulgaria, and they're common about Americans, and this does relate to the DNA and the genetics, that we're bigger people. They can't believe the size of some of the kids. You know, it's just amazing. It's in our genes, and we have to, as Karen said, try to break those patterns.
Now, you know, we've touched on before people coming in like on a maintenance schedule or checkups or whatever, but I imagine most of your clients come in because they have pain and they have an immediate problem. But talk about like maintenance. If someone wanted to just go to chiropractic care to improve their circulation or whatever, what do you recommend as a course of action?
Good question. Well, usually we go by age groups. Statistically, what we find in those age groups determining problems with the spine, nervous system, such like that, as can be handled by a chiropractor. Now, usually with a kid, we're talking 5 and under, I might see those people for a checkup once and maybe every year or two after that. Just take a look at them, see how they're doing, see how they're functioning. As the mortar hardens and we get older, and we collect traumas and injuries, then that time space becomes shorter and shorter, obviously. For example, maybe a quite elderly person with lots of health challenges, let's say arthritis, congestive heart failure, different problems like that. We might see those people more regularly, once every month, once every 12 weeks. I myself see my chiropractor once every 8 to 12 weeks, like clockwork, whether I feel bad or not, just for this purpose, because I know better. And my family is wrought with disease, just like everybody's in this culture. I mean, we've got everything. If you go back far enough, there's heart disease and strokes and cancer and everything.
But when you're seeing somebody on a regular basis, once a month or whatever, are you always going, you know, after that initial diagnosis or finding out where they might have problems, are you always going to make adjustments in that same place, or are you checking them from head to toe?
Head to toe, stem to stern.
So you might be making different adjustments from month to month?
Sure.
Focus on different parts of the body?
Yes, and there may be no adjustments. Or there may be new issues that crop up. Myself, as a practitioner, I focus heavily on soft tissue problems, muscles and stuff. So I handle a lot of sports injuries, gardening injuries, problems with the shoulders. Probably number one in my clinic's shoulder problems, just because I handle that. I've been specifically trained to do that. In terms of the spine and its effect with the nervous system, whatever we find problem-wise is what we work on.
But like in regard to circulation or whatever, if someone needs an adjustment every month, what's happening in that time period that requires that adjustment?
Good question.
Is it unhealthy living or just the way...
Or gardening or what?
Yeah.
Well, number one cause of problems in the spine is stress, mental stress, which is interesting to know. Because muscles move bones. And every emotion that we have, everything that we see, changes our chemistry. Now, that sounds really flaky, but it's true. Really true. If I were to slam a book on this table or yell gun or fire, you would react emotionally and physically, you see. Now, how about low-grade stressors? We're the most stressed out people in the world. That causes tension in muscles, which span bones and joints, causes problems. They stop moving well. And our body has this overabundance and healing capacity. You break a bone, it grows back a third thicker. Fact. So, in order to compensate for this stress, our body will begin to guard and harden, and that's the problem. Ultimately, as a chiropractor, I keep the body supple, keep everything moving and flowing. That's it.
So some of the benefits on a routine, let's say I go in like you do every 8 weeks, some of the benefits are just feeling better in general, better circulation.
Sure. And possibly passing on better genes to your kids.
There you go.
That's pretty huge. That's what this implies. He didn't come out and say that because he just published this in the Journal of American Medical Association, so you got to be real careful.
Well, once again, this will lead to plenty of questions from people, I'm sure, particularly in the maintenance aspect of chiropractic care. So how can they, if they just want to ask a question, they can email you, but if they want to set up an appointment or a consultation, how do they do that?
Sure. Consultations are always complimentary. My talking is free. My hands are not. So you can contact me most easily through email, and that's kingclinic@aol.com. Or you can call the office and schedule something if you like, and that's 641-0644.
All right.
Great.
Very good. Thank you. Always interesting, Dr. Jeff King.